Hey everyone! So I had some requests on how I make my trinket dishes, so I'm just going to show you how I do it. I make a lot of them using scrap clay because I collect a ton of scrap clay since I do a lot of screen printing, or I mean silk screens, sorry. And I just always have like a bunch of random colors laying around, so I usually combine them all into like colors. So here I'm taking some pinks and white, purple, and a few other colors that I have, throwing in some blue. So this looks like a mess right now, but I just kind of like break apart the pieces and I flatten some out with a pasta machine if they're too big. And I just kind of spread it all apart and bring it together. And I roll this into like a long rectangular shape. So you just want to squeeze it together the best you can. And if this is really old clay, you can add some liquid Sculpey to it as well. But this was kind of a mix of old clay with some newer pieces, so I think it'll work out fine. And I'm just going to roll it out and keep pushing it together. And you can see some of it separating, so I'm just going to take this as its own piece. It'll be easier to roll out. You can do that. You can section it into like 3 chunks if you'd like as well. I find it easier to squeeze it kind of like you're wringing a towel out. I squeeze it in my hands like that because sometimes when you roll, you'll kind of feel the middle separating. Okay, so now I'm just going to twist it. You move your hands in opposite directions. I want this to have kind of a marbled look. You can do whatever you want though. I mean, as long as you have like colors or, you don't have like just a bunch of black and brown and uh with bright colors, then it's going to look nice. So I wanted this to be like marble style. So there's my first section, and then I'm going to work with this other piece. Now I'm just rolling it out like the other one, and I'm going to do that twisting again and wring the towel out. And I think I'm going to cut this into another piece. So 3 sections out of that one. Now just keep rolling. Now I'm doing that twist again. I just kind of fold it. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. I make it look like an S sometimes, or I wrap it around itself. You can go in like a circle, like a coil. You can do whatever you want. Now I'm just going to twist it a little bit more and then fold it over itself. And now I'm just rolling this one back together. I have no idea what this is going to look like, but I like these colors, so I think it will be unique. Now roll. So that piece was kind of falling apart. This one I'm just doing something different. I'm folding it over and then rolling it out. And now I'm just going to twist this one. And fold it over. And now I'm just going to break one piece off and put it at the top and the other one at the bottom. And now you just want to kind of squeeze it together so that when you run it through the pasta machine, you know that it's all going to kind of stick together. And I'm just taking my roller and lightly pressing it. So I'll show you what this looks like when you run it through the first setting of the pasta machine. And when I say the first setting in my video, I just mean your thickest setting. I know all pasta machines and clay machines are different, so my 1 could be your 10 or a 0. Everyone is different. So when I say 1, that's what I mean. Okay, so I like this, but I think I would like it to be a little more spread out. So I'm just going to fold it over itself and run it through the pasta machine in this direction. And yes, I like this. It's hard to capture the colors on the camera, but it's really bright and unique, and I really like it. So I'm going to do the same with this one, and I'll show you that in a little while. I'm just folding this over itself and setting it aside. So now the good part. This is so simple, you're going to laugh. So when I make my ring dishes or trinket dishes, they're all different sizes. I kind of go off of what the clay looks like. So this one I thought would be a really nice rectangular shape. So I'm just using my X-Acto knife. And I would suggest a tissue blade. I had this nearby, so I'm just showing you with my X-Acto knife. But if you want it to be a perfect cut, it's easier with the tissue blade. I ended up grabbing it anyway, so I'll just show you with the tissue blade as well. So it's not long enough for this piece, but you can just line it up and it'll be fine. So do this one, and then it looks a little uneven in one more spot up here. You can use a ruler if you'd like to, if you want to keep them all exactly the same and uniform. I really like having all different sizes. Okay, so you want to peel up the corners. You can use your tissue blade if you're scared of ruining your piece or adding fingerprints, but I knew this one was pretty good. So you just want to grab the corners and kind of squeeze them together while holding down, like pressing down on the bottom of the tile, or the top of the tile, I guess. And then do the same for this side. I just squeeze together with my fingers lightly and just pinch it for a second, and then it just kind of stays there. And then I just kind of decide what to do with the sides. I either add 3, sometimes 4 of these little waves. So this is really similar to like working with a pie crust, in my opinion. So if any of you have baked pies before and worked with dough, then you'll know what I'm talking about when you start working with this. But that's the only real comparison I can give this. I mean, it's flexible, it's kind of doughy. So now I'll show you this piece. And I have a bunch of other examples as well, just to show you all the different like variations you can do. And I have some other shapes that I'll be showing you as well. This is just kind of, showing you what I do. There are just so many different ways that you can do these, but I found this way is the best for me, at least. Okay, so I'm running this through the pasta machine at the first setting, and I think this will look good as a rectangle as well. And I'm just going to keep that piece for earrings or something else, maybe. Now you just want to cut again. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, you can cut these however you want. You can do a triangle, circle, oval, pretty much any shape you can think of. So now I'm just going to show you how I do this one as well, and then I'll get to another style. Okay, so you want to take your tissue blade and kind of um, sorry, that's one of my sons. I have two little boys, and around this time at night they get a little bit wild. So I've been trying to record this video all day. But here we go. So if you can't lift up the edges, you can take the tissue blade and just kind of run it under the edges and the sides. I start with the edges. And then do the same thing as the other one. You kind of just squeeze your fingers together. I take my middle finger and my thumb, just kind of squeeze it, and then make sure that the bottom is like sticking. I'm trying to describe this. It's hard to describe, but you can kind of see when you squeeze it, the bottom should be like staying there. And now just doing the sides how I think 4 waves will look nice on this side. So I'm just taking my fingers and kind of pushing it up just slightly, but leaving the bottom there. So now kind of just put your fingers where you want there to be a wave, and then either pinch together or you can kind of just push with your finger. It's easy to work with, and it's easy to fix too. If you make a mistake, it's fine. You can kind of fix it unless you do something crazy, but I mean, I haven't had any issues really. So there's that one. And then you can bake those at 275 degrees for 40 minutes to an hour. But if you have a lighter color, you just really have to watch it. So I'm just going to show you another one. So these are a bunch of different scrap clays in lighter colors. There's green, pink, white, some teal in there, and a lot of different screen print. Oh my gosh, I keep saying screen print. Silk screen. Silk screen pieces in there. So a lot of black and white. Okay, I think this is going to look really cool and like have a nice pastel look to it. So I'm just rolling it up and then I fold it over itself, and then I'm going to do what I did with the other one and kind of just do a little twist. And I'm cutting this one into like 3 sections as well. Okay, and then do the twist in there if you want it to have kind of a marbled look to it. And I'm taking the other one, twisting this one as well. And then I'm just going to wrap it around itself like a backwards S. Now I'm putting these two together and kind of make sure they're all stuck together. Now I'm just grabbing this other piece and I'm going to cut it in half, roll this out. And now I'm just changing it up a little bit and wrapping this one all the way around the whole piece. And then I'm going to combine it and run it through the pasta machine at the first setting. And I'm just rolling it out a little bit just to see which way I want to run it through the pasta machine. Okay, that looks cool. So it's a little crumbly, so I'm going to kind of fold it over itself and cut it so I can get it through the pasta machine going in the opposite direction. I'm running through like that. Okay, that looks pretty cool. So now I'll show you how I do round ones. You can either freehand doing a circle, or you can get a small terracotta base piece. These are like 98 cents at Hobby Lobby, Stein's, wherever, Garden Center. And of course, that's not a perfect circle, but it doesn't really matter. And this is very similar to the rectangles. I just kind of, you know, figure out where I want these little waves to be. I just kind of push it together like pie dough. And now as long as the bottom is stuck on there, you can throw it in the oven and bake it for 45 minutes or 40 minutes to an hour. It all depends on the size of your thickest setting, and also the type of clay you're using. I'm using Primo mostly, and sometimes souffle. So if you're using Fimo, the settings might be different. I can't recall if Fimo might be a lower oven temperature than Primo or Sculpey. So I'm just showing you this other piece that I did as well in the rectangle shape. And this looks like a really cool abstract landscape to me. It's got these beautiful greens and white and some blue and pink, and it's just so beautiful. I'm sorry this video is actually turning out way longer than I initially thought it would be, but I had so many scraps that I just wanted to show you, all the different things that you can make with, just a bunch of different colors. Okay, so here we go again. I always do the little corner pinch, raise it up, pinch the corners, keep the bottom down, and do the other side. And if you're using regular clay, like just a flat color, be careful with this part because you might leave fingerprints. So either wear gloves or just keep that in mind. So this one will look nice with a bunch of little waves. And if you do one too big, you can always redo it. The clay is very forgiving. So I'm just going to speed this up and then bake this one. And now I have that other piece left. So I'm going to try something new with this one just to show you all the different things you can do. So I'm cutting this like it's a cane, well, a little thicker, and then just flipping these all over. And then just run it through the pasta machine once it's all pushed together. And I don't like the look of this, and it's not all together anyway, so I'm just going to flip it over and run it through again. Oh my God. I don't know if anyone heard that, but my son's in the background saying, "Smell my butt." Oh man. Any of you guys have boys? They're crazy. Okay, so I think this looks pretty good, but I'm going to flip this over and run it through one more time. Now I'm happy with how this looks, so I'm going to do this one in a circle shape. I just take the X-Acto knife and kind of just draw a line around it. Okay, and clearly that's not a perfect circle, but it really doesn't matter. And there are cutters that are perfect circles that you could find. There's like little pancake cutters and cookie cutters that you can find at the store. But this works just as well, in my opinion. So now I just added the waves to this one as well. And here are a bunch of black and brown scraps that I had. There's some yellow in the mix too, so I'm just showing you how this turns out when I mix this all together. Okay, so now that you've seen some of the possibilities with scrap clay, I'm going to show you some textures and other things that you can add. So this is just a stamp. I use the back of a different stamp to press it in. So you can do different stamp designs or textures. And then I'm just going to show you this one real quick. I think that just adds a nice touch. And I'm going to just show you what a square trinket tray would look like. Not perfectly square, of course, but close enough. So I'm just going to show you what you can do with a terracotta pot. You can lightly fold over the edges and bake it inside of this, and it will bake in that same form. So now I'm just going to show you something else you could do with a stamp. So with this octopus, I like adding black paint to it and stamping it into the clay. So you would just pick whatever color you'd like and whatever stamp you'd like, and then just lightly press it down. And now I'm going to show you another way to use a stamp. So you can go on both sides. If you do a rectangle or a circle, you can go all around. And then I'm just going to show you what a rectangle would look like. So I'm going to show you what I do for the sides of some of the trinket trays. So I use this rose gold color for some of my black and bronze looking trays. And then I also use the gold leaf. Both are Krylon brand and they work amazing. So I always start at the bottom edge and just kind of take it all the way across, and then I do the top edge, and then I fill in the middle where I missed. It's hard to describe, but once you get on an edge, the marker just kind of guides you. So I found this is the easiest way to do it. Instead of just going flat all the way across, I like taking both edges and running the marker all the way across and then going to the middle. Now, if you want to add a glaze, you can use UV resin or varnish or polyclay. I'm using Kato liquid polyclay in clear, and I use a heat gun to set it. And I think it looks really nice. It's very, very similar to UV resin, but it's not toxic, and I just feel a little more comfortable using it. But I do use UV resin as well. If my kids aren't around, I'll use it, and if there's enough ventilation. But for now, I'll use the Kato polyclay. So I just wanted to show you how some of the pieces turned out after they were baked. This is that really cool pastel landscape. And the bottom's nice and flat. And they're flexible, and if you drop them, they won't break. Hopefully. I just really like these. I have like probably 40 sitting around my house. I use them for everything. You can bring them, if you do craft shows, you can bring them to craft shows and display your stuff on them or just sell them. I was just showing you the bottom since it was baked on a tile. It's going to have a shiny bottom, so you can either add, if you want to add like felt to the bottom, or you can always paint the bottom or glaze it or sand it, but most of mine I just leave alone. Here's that funky one. It's got that nice flat bottom, and they all stayed exactly how I put them into the oven. So here are some of the past ones that I've made. I have a bunch more too, but I'm just showing you a few. I really like the silk screen one there. That's like half and half. This one I'll probably glaze. I think it'll stand out a lot more. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I'm sorry the video turned out way too long, but I hope it helps somebody out there. Thank you so much for watching.